Good evening. Welcome to the Fumblerooski Podcast. You are listening to the Fumblerooski Podcast by Power 88, Dean Radio, and Secret Weapon Consulting. I'm Chris Costich, alongside Adam Wright and Robert Shelley, our guest host. Robert, thank you for joining us.
You know, I had to come on. The fans, hopefully they remember me, some of your longtime fans. We've never done a show together, Chris, because I haven't been on since you've been added to the rotation. But yeah, I got a lot to say today about the Patriots.
Yeah, I was told that you and Adam do have a podcast. What was it called again? It was the Pesky Poll, right?
Yeah, Adam just shows up every now and again. Pesky Poll podcast, Red Sox podcast for all my New England fans who love their baseball.
Figured I'd offer my charity. You know, he doesn't have
Charity.
a co-host, so
yeah, okay. Take that charity, and you know what to do with it. Okay.
All right, so
PG-rated
we'll get into it. We got a lot planned for you guys tonight. So we got 49ers running through Dallas 42-10. Patriots continuing to struggle, losing 34-0 to the Saints, largest home loss in the Belichick era. Jags beating the Bills in London. Jags continuing their success overseas. Also have top three, bottom three, as well as week 5 trivia. And, of course, the Fumblerooski fan box. So we'll get right into it. Start out with the first topic, the Cowboys running amok on – oh, wow, that's awful. 49ers. Wow, that's a bad banner right there. My apologies. Had Cowboys in there twice, but –
You're 200 episodes in.
Yeah,
sure?
Right. 49ers running through the Cowboys 42-10. 49ers are for real. I think that's always been known, but this was an absolute decimation. I mean, the spread being at 5.5, 49ers being 5.5 point favorites, and they go out and perform the way they did. They just looked unstoppable. Cowboys, I mean, how good are they, really? Their only 3 wins were against the Jets, the 49ers, and
Jets, Cardinals, and Patriots.
Yeah, Jets. No, they lost to the Cardinals.
My bad. Jets, Patriots, and who's Giants.
Giants. 3 really bad teams. So they don't really have a good win on their record yet. So how good are they? Adam, we'll start out with you.
yeah. Well, I mean, Chris, you have put it very eloquently in the past couple of weeks. They're a middling playoff team who's going to lose in the wild card round to specifically the 49ers. Like that's just what they are. They have enough talent to be competitive, but their coaching holds them down. And the talent that they do have, it falls apart in at moments when it matters most. And until they make some changes, that's what they're going to be for the next 5 to 10 years.
Robert, anything to add to that?
I mean, I can agree with what Adam said. It just depends on what talent you're talking about. Obviously, quarterback goes exactly what Adam said. Dak's going to fumble when it comes time to get into the playoffs and it comes time to clutch situations. I honestly have them losing to the Eagles in the first round, but don't want to play hairs. They're going to lose in the first round. We can both agree. Wild card team, probably a 6th seed, first round loss. But yeah, Dak's going to crumble under pressure. Tony Pollard, probably. Some of those guys on defense, absolutely not. I think some of those guys are just going to be absolute wreckers. Doesn't matter the situation. But it's just the overall inconsistency with them. Sometimes they'll be great, and they will have no problems with their opponents. It's not even like they're playing down to competition. It's just they can't play up to where other competitive teams can go. We just saw that this 49ers team didn't really even use their star weapon, Christian McCaffrey, that much. I think he had, what was it, 1 touchdown or 2? But he wasn't used to. He didn't need to. George Kittle had 3 with an F Cowboys shirt underneath. And that was hilarious, by the way. So, yeah, I just think they're not good enough to get to the levels that some of these teams, like the 49ers, like the Eagles, are able to get to.
Yeah.
No, I completely agree. And Dak, that was probably one of the worst games I've actually really seen him play, too. 14 for 24, 3 interceptions. And it's funny because me and my buddies, we all threw in a leg on a parlay on DraftKings. And my buddy put in Dak would have over a half interceptions. And I was like, damn, we should have put more on that. Should have made it at 1.5. But just a awful night in general. Cowboys couldn't get the run game going either, especially for how good the Cowboys offensive line is supposed to be. But that 49er defense is something else. The entire 49er team is just ridiculous. And my main bet was going to be that the Cowboys would lose to the 49ers in San Fran. And that would probably be like a divisional round matchup. But like you guys said, Cowboys aren't making it out of the first round. 49ers are probably going to be the 1 seed. So they won't even see them at that rate. But the other topic we wanted to get to is Brock Purdy. You know, I know that we said before the show that we probably shouldn't start these conversations, but I think it's time to start. 17 for 24, 252 yards, 4 touchdowns, 3 of them to George Kittle, like you guys said.
Lit it up.
Should Brock Purdy be considered a top 10 QB at this point?
Top 10, I'd say he's already there, but I think the conversation of him being an elite quarterback, like the elite of the elite, needs to start at this point. It really does. I understand, like we keep on saying the only thing that's holding him back is 2 things. Number 1, that they have a lot of talent around him, which is true. And number 2, that it's been a small sample size. It's not a small sample size anymore. He's won 10 in a row. Like that is not a small sample size. The only game that they lost with him is where he literally tore up his elbow in the first quarter of the game. So you can't even hold anything against him at this point unless you talk about the talent around him. But to that I ask you, why are we giving Mac Jones the pass for not having enough talent and Kenny Pickett in the same breath and not giving it to Brock Purdy? When Mac Jones struggles, he needs all of this talent around him and then he'll be good. If Brock Purdy is good with all of that talent, we have to say, oh, it's all the talent. He's not actually this good. It's one way or the other. You can't have both here. You have to pick one. So I honestly think Brock Purdy is the real deal. Yes, having talent around you helps, but not to this extent where you're going to NFC championships in your rookie year. I think it's time to start having that conversation.
If I may interject here, a few things that I agree with you, Adam. Borderline top 10. I would agree. I'd say more, just to be more comfortable, top 15. Still done very good. The thing with Brock Purdy, though, is he's not expected to do anything crazy. He's obviously not expected to carry his team. He is told, okay, this is your job. Do nothing more, do nothing less. And he fits it to a T. He does his job perfectly. Now, going with what you said about talent, I am not giving Mac Jones, and we'll get to this, I'm not giving Mac Jones the graces. He's been atrocious. Okay? Screw the O-line around him. Screw the team around him. Himself has been atrocious.
You can say the same thing about Kenny Pickett and Tua Tagovailoa. Like they've been very iffy.
Tua's been good. Tua's been good fine this year.
He's been okay.
Yeah, Tua's been
he
fine.
Can be
Mac
iffy
Jones
sometimes.
has been terrible. Mac Jones has been terrible. But getting back to Brock Purdy, yeah, top 10, but he's not expected to do anything crazy. Okay, with this team that is built to basically be almost without a quarterback, all he has to do is come in, do his job, don't try and overperform, and his team will get wins. That's all he has to do. Doesn't have to do anything crazy.
In 24 throws, he averaged 10.5 yards per attempt.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's doing anything crazy, but they're unleashing him. They are allowing him to throw. Even in a blowout.
No, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that it's just with him. It's just, hey, you have 2 progressions and a 3-yard check down. No, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying is that this system is devised for him so that he doesn't have to go crazy. Like, for example, just throwing names out there, a Mahomes offense without Travis Kelce. He's got to do crazy things in order to get that team to where it's got to go. A Lamar team without any weapons, something along those lines. Brock Purdy doesn't have to do with that. Because even if Christian McCaffrey's injured, he's got George Kittle. He's got Brandon Ayuk. He's got Deebo Samuel. He's got so many weapons around him. Offensive line is great, So he's got all this stuff around him. He doesn't have to do anything crazy.
Okay, yeah, that's a fair point. But Chris, what are your thoughts?
I will say that I think the biggest part about being a quarterback as a former high school, college quarterback, would be that you would have to, your best trait is to get the ball to your best guys, to your skill guys. And that's the biggest part about football as a quarterback. And that's what Brock Purdy is doing. And he's doing it at a exceptionally high level. Granted, yeah, he's got the weapons around him, but it's the matter that he's able to still get the ball to his guys at an efficient rate. But we'll leave it at that. So we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk about the Patriots and their another historic loss here on the Fumblerooski Podcast.
Here's Edelman broken up, and the pass is no sign yet. Edelman comes down with a football. They're saying it's a catch. This is caught. Diggs! Sideline! Touchdown! Unbelievable! Swings it way down the field to Watkins. Sammy Watkins for the touchdown!
Welcome back to the Fumblerooski Podcast. Adam Wright, Chris Costich, Robert Shelley. As we move on to our next topic, the Patriots. Man, you thought it couldn't get worse, and it just got worse. Losing 34-0 to the Saints. The worst home loss in the Belichick era. Man, I just don't really know what else to say at this point. I don't even want to start.
I'll start.
Robert, take it
I
away.
want me to.
Or Adam.
Okay.
I
got it. I got it.
All right. We'll
So,
give him the reins. Let's see what you got to say.
This team defensively, we can all agree, has been above average. Not great, but above average throughout this year. Now without Matt Judon, now without the potential, not anymore obviously, but potential defensive rookie of the year in Christian Gonzalez. Without those two guys, this defense is average at best.
Yep.
Okay. I mean, so that's the offense. Okay. This team does not have an elite playmaker at a skill position. Ramondre Stevenson is a power back. Ramon Stevenson is good to get you 5 yards at a time. He's not going to get you 60, 70 in one play. None of these receivers are going to get you 60, 70 yards in one play. This team that used to rely on its O-line and being a top 5, top 3 in football is what, bottom 5, bottom 10 right now? Yes, injuries, but this team has relied on its depth too in the trenches. So that's not even an excuse. The offensive line has been terrible, but all of our problems start at the quarterback. Okay. Last year, it's Matt Patricia's fault. Matt Patricia is designing terrible plays for Mac Jones. Bailey Zappi comes in, he looks amazing, but with Mac Jones, it looks terrible. I saw a comment on an Instagram page saying we need to give Matt Patricia an apology. At that point, it's kind of right. Not saying Matt Patricia did amazing. He was still bad, but he was not as bad as we're putting him out. The problem is in the quarterback. You give this team an average, slightly above average quarterback, they're in the playoffs, in my opinion. You put Tua on this team and you devise a game plan around Tua, potentially a quarterback team or a playoff team. You put Kirk Cousins, the averagest of averages, on this team gets 9 wins. The problem is in the quarterback position. It has been terrible. Think about the 2 games where we were actually competitive and lost, between the Eagles game and the Miami game. 2 teams that are expected to go into the playoffs and farther. We were in it for the entire time, but for the entire first half, the Patriots did all of you-know-what on offense, and the defense had to carry. The problem is in the offense. The problem is in the quarterback. This team will not be good until that quarterback spot is changed.
I think it's a little more than that. I think it's more so the personnel all around. And you touched on this. They don't have any skill positions who are actually elite. Not since they lost Christian Gonzalez and Matt Judon. So, I did think that this team would be, maybe middling, maybe a playoff contending bad. No, from seeing some injuries from underperforming players, this team is like bottom of the league bad, which does have some silver lining here, which brings me to my point and my takeaway after this loss. They need to hit the reset button. Belichick kind of alluded to it during the post-game press conference, but I think they need to do it. And when you have an elite quarterback prospect, one of the best in years,
Since Lawrence.
You have Caleb Williams there, and you have a chance to just continue losing games. Ooh. You are the mighty New England Patriots. You need to hold yourself to that standard. Go get that big shiny object in Caleb Williams. I am on the tank for Caleb Williams train.
So I will say, hold on, I'm trying to find the stat right now. So here are a couple stats that I do want to throw out there. According to BC State Network, Mac Jones currently has a 84.7 grade as a quarterback. Still pretty solid. Another stat is that, hold on, I'm sorry. I thought I was going to have this up like sooner, but now I can't find it. Anyways, but another stat that
I'm sorry. I was going to say, if you want to keep looking for it, and I could just talk about Mac Jones. Then.
No, it's fine. The other stat that I saw is that we were continuously ripping on Justin Fields for the beginning part of this season. And through the last 2 games, Justin Fields has more touchdowns, less interceptions, more yards, and a higher completion percentage than Mac Jones at the moment. I think the other problem, you just got to look at how this team is built. Bill did not, he just pulled it out of his ass or something, part of my language, but it's not a good team. He didn't make the right moves during the offseason. He squandered an opportunity to draft possibly a good receiver in the draft. Could have even gotten freaking Hopkins. He could have gotten D-Hop, and we probably wouldn't have the same problems unless he were to beef with Bill O'Brien. But if the Patriot ways taught me anything, throw that shit out the window because it's winning time. Excuse me. I'm sorry. But
you are forgiven.
I'm sorry.
If he starts swearing, I'm going to start swearing. That's the rules.
Robert.
Okay.
Sorry. I just got really into it for a second there, but
I'm used to it with Tuck talking about his Ravens.
Yeah. I got a personal gripe with the Ravens too this week, but we'll get back to that.
Well, it's just bad. And on top of that, you look at Belichick's record without Tom Brady, it just looks worse and worse. And to top it all off, you lose to the Saints, who in the last few years without Drew Brees, they literally showed a score graphic how the Saints and the Patriots have done without Brady and Brees. The Pats have still had much better stats than the Saints up to that point. They had significantly more yards. They only had 2 or more points per game, but they're doing significantly better than the Saints, and the Saints made them look like a JV high school team out there. Mm-hmm. It was bad.
Don't get me wrong, the Saints have boosted up this offseason slightly,
a little bit,
by adding a few key pieces, but still, Derek Carr, and we said this before we hit the record button, not even prime Derek Carr, not even 2016 Derek Carr. Just
it's
32, 33-year-old, past his prime.
Yep.
Washed partially, with all due respect, of course, washed to Derek Carr.
And never mind Derek Carr. I mean, the Saints running game that day too was pretty good too. 136 yards on the ground. Kamara had 80 for himself. They pretty much force fed him the ball all day. He had 3 receptions as well. It wasn't like it was just one part of the game. It wasn't like Derek Carr was killing him. It was all parts of the Patriots defense that was falling apart. You also are supposed to get a great draft pick out of Keon White. What the hell is he doing? Nothing. No one's doing anything.
Unless you guys got something else to say, I got one more thing to wrap us up.
I have one more as well, but
please go and then I'll go after you.
All right. I'll leave you with this. Bill Belichick has head coached in 10 different seasons in the past few decades without Tom Brady. 10 seasons. Made the playoffs twice. I'll leave it at that. And don't give me that Browns BS, because those Browns became the Ravens who won the Super Bowl a couple years later. So I'll leave it at that.
I still need to mention that he has 2 Super Bowls without Brady. Still the greatest coach of all time.
As a defensive coordinator.
As a D coordinator.
It still has a few. Okay.
Well, Nathaniel Hackett's a pretty good offensive coordinator, but we've seen how he can do as a head coach.
Yes, and I understand that. But you got to remember that. I mean, let's look at it this way. With like athletes, we don't kill them for being washed at the end of their career. Perfect example, Peyton Manning. Very few people talk about how Peyton got dragged to that Super Bowl kicking and screaming, right? Could be the same with coaches. Maybe you'll lose a little bit. He's going to have that job for as long as he can. No, sorry. One more thing about the defense, and now I completely forgot it because I was going on that ramble about coaching. So skip me. Go.
We'll also say that since Brady has left, all of the worst wins that the Patriots have had have all been in the last 4 years, I would say, or the top 5 worst losses that he's had have all come in within the last 3 years.
Yeah,
4 years. But we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll have trivia, and as well as the Jags beating the Bills in London here on the Fumblerooski Podcast.
Here's Edelman broken up, and the pass is no sign yet. Edelman comes down with a football. They're saying it's a catch. This is caught. Diggs! Sideline! Touchdown! Unbelievable! Swings it way down the field to Watkins! Sammy Watkins for the touchdown!
Welcome back to the Fumblerooski Podcast. Chris Costich, Adam Wright, and our special guest host, Robert Shelley, as we'll move on to the Week 3 trivia for this week. And I wanted to make it, or Week 5 trivia, sorry. But I wanted to make it about the quarterbacks again. We made it about fantasy scores and whatnot, and we talk about a little bit of history as well the last few weeks. But I wanted to get back to the present with this one. I want you guys to guess the top 5 quarterbacks that have been sacked this year.
I want to say, give me CJ Stroud.
Not on the list.
Not on the list. My other guess was going to be Trevor Lawrence.
Wait. I was going to say
Adam, just to let you know, CJ Stroud has only been sacked 11 times. And to give you a comparison, the top 2 guys are almost at 30.
So Adam, let's go back and forth so you can get to 3. Okay, because he said top 5.
Well, unless you guys want to do 10, we can do 10.
Screw it. Sure. Okay, so he said, who are you going with first? Well, you said Stroud, but you said Trevor Lawrence.
Just remember, we only have 10 minutes in this segment.
Yep.
And we still need to cover the Jaguars and the Bills.
Yeah. So let's just do the 5. Let's just do the top 5.
Screw that game.
All right, but I will give me Josh Allen.
Josh Allen's not on the list.
Jeez.
Okay. Give me let's go with, he hasn't played enough games. I just had a name and now I'm blanking on it. So let's go with Kirk Cousins.
Not on the list.
Joe Burrow.
Not on the list.
I gotta go with Mac Jones.
No, think of bad teams. You just got to think of bad teams.
Bad teams.
Oh wait, I remember my name. Okay, Adam, you sure?
Justin Fields.
Justin Fields is on the list.
And he's got
With
one.
all the improvements they made on that line, I know they lost
Mhm.
Braxton Jones, but
I'm going to go with one of my favorite crappy quarterbacks out there, Mr. Danny Derps himself, Daniel Jones.
oh
He
yeah,
is
that's a
number
good
2
one.
on the list. Justin Fields is 3. Daniel Jones is 2. It's surprising. When I saw this list, it made me laugh because I couldn't believe that there was someone that got sacked more than Daniel Jones through 5 weeks.
But 11 in one game. That's just
He got sacked 11 times in one game. What game was that?
it was against the Seahawks. They had a clinic
Holy-
against them.
Man.
They threw back to their Legion of Boom days.
Yeah.
It was
Okay,
bad.
your turn, Adam.
All right. Bryce Young.
Nope.
Ooh.
I'm going to go with Sam Howell.
He is number 1 on the list. Sam Howell has been sacked 29 times. Daniel Jones has been sacked 28 times. So you guys got 2 more.
Back to the NFC least. All right, I'm up 2-1, Adam.
All right. Let's see. I want to say Tua.
Nope.
No, he said think of bad teams. So if I'm going to go to the NFC and I'm going to think of bad teams, I'm obviously going to go to the NFC South. So I'm going to go with Mr. Desmond Ridder.
He is number 5. He's been sacked 16 times.
Okay.
Finish off number 4. Take your L.
Jimmy Garoppolo.
Nope.
Oh, I'm going to go. This team hasn't been bad, but I remember this guy getting sacked a lot. Let's go Baker Mayfield.
Not Baker Mayfield. Half these guys that you're guessing aren't even in the top 10.
Damn,
Ryan
who's that?
Tannehill.
Ryan Tannehill, number 4.
Nice,
got-
good guess.
he's been
Good
sacked.
pull.
Oh.
He's been
He
sacked
still lost to the
17
baseball guy, but
times.
that's okay.
All right. Let's sink our teeth into this Jaguars Bills team.
Yeah,
Bills
so Jags winning in London over the Bills. I mean, I feel like you could see this coming, right? You have the Jaguars staying 2 weeks straight in London. They have this advantage over the Bills. The Bills came out basically sleepwalking the first 3 quarters. They were still able to make it a game, but on top of that, the Jaguars just had their way, and the Bills really did not come out of London looking too great either. Tre'Davious White out for the season, torn ACL. Matt Milano is injured now. Are the Bills potentially out for contender? Maybe. I don't know, because this Bills defense had been playing really good for the last 4 or 5 weeks, or 4 weeks, excuse me. But I don't know. The way that it's kind of crumbled, it feels like the Bills offense needs to really put up some more than 20 points to win these games, more towards the 30s.
I like this matchup. I like how this game went because Robert picked the Bills to win the Super Bowl and I picked the Jaguars to go to the AFC Championship. So
Okay, Adam, you can take that stick out of your ass. Okay, it was one game, and last I checked, if I go back in my text messages, you were saying, "Oh, I hate my Jags pick." This is
I
like
didn't
2
say I hated
weeks
the
ago.
pick. I
You
said
you
I'm not
hated your
feeling
Jags
how
pick because
I
they
said
were
they've
yanking it up.
yeah,
Okay?
they had
12 wins my ass, okay?
they've had a
12
slow start to the
wins
season.
My ass.
They're winning 12 games this year. I've already looked at the
Hell no,
schedule.
They're not.
There's 2 games that I can definitively say that they are going to lose throughout the rest of this season. Bengals, 49ers. After that, they'll probably have 1 slip up and then it's smooth sailing. They're going to win 12 games. This is a little feeling out stage. These are some teams.
I'm still sticking with
Some
10.
good teams have early season struggles. The Bengals, namely last year, they started 1-3.
This year, 2.
And this year, and they're back to. So they're winning 12 games. But either way, so looking at this Bills team, they've lost a lot on defense. A lot. And it's really bad on their defensive line, in their secondary. And this is the second straight year where they've been losing pieces to their defense, which has ultimately been their undoing later on in the season. I said it before. This is a very good Bills team, a Bills team that is a safe bet to win 11 to 13 games. It's going to happen. They're going to win 12 to 13 games around that level. But what is going to be the issue is how they perform in big moments and how healthy their defense is. We're already seeing it. On offense, their quarterback can't stop turning the ball over, can't play well in big moments. Their defense can't stay healthy. You put those two factors together, and that makes for bad football in January. As for the Jaguars, they're getting healthier. They're getting more pieces added to their offensive line. And their team looks a lot better by the week.
I do want to throw these stats out there real quick before Robert responds. But Josh Allen, 27 for 40, 2 touchdowns, an interception, 359 yards. The rushing attack for the Bills, they only had 29 yards. James Cook had 5 carries, -4 yards. Trevor Lawrence, 25 for 37, 315 yards, 1 touchdown. Travis Etienne Jr., 26 carries, 136 yards, 2 touchdowns. And the whole rushing attack as a whole put up 196 yards. This is a constant problem for the Bills. They've always had a problem with their rushing attack. And here it is yet again, a big game, and the rushing attack doesn't show up.
There's another good point. Rushing attack has been a problem.
Always been a problem.
Is it time to hit the panic button on the Bills yet? No. Not in my opinion, no. I don't think it's time to panic with them yet. Just because, I can chalk this game up to 2 things, right? What you just said, Bills don't have a very good run defense. Jags ran all over them. And the fact that Jags have been over in London for a week and a half now, and the Bills looked sluggish as all hell. And when I was looking at this game, I said, because I am very much a betting man, so when I was looking at this game trying to cook up my parlays, I was like, I don't feel confident in this. It could go either way, but I don't feel confident in this just because Jags have been over there. And it's basically a home game for the Jaguars. Like, let's be honest, London has adopted Jacksonville as their
That's false. That's false. That's false. There was a huge amount of Bills fans at that game.
Well, no, majority is Jacksonville. It was the same.
Majority is Jacksonville, but if you watch the game, there was a ton of Buffalo fans that made the trip. Okay. I will say.
But point still stands. Okay, it borderline a home. We'll call it a Chargers home game for Jacksonville. Okay, same thing. Okay, so
I can live with that.
When I was looking at this game, I'm just like, I'm not confident in it just because of the travel. Talk to me next week. Who did the Bills face next week? I don't know off the top of my head.
I'll have to look off the top of my head.
Well, I got you.
Week 6.
Second.
I have it up right now. Hang on. They got the Giants.
Yeah,
that's a win.
If they lose against the Giants, I will say they're not contenders anymore. Okay, because there ain't no way Danny Dirks is out dueling Josh Allen. Okay, you can put that on freezing cold takes if you want to.
We
Monday.
all agree they're going to win 11 to 13 games. That's going to happen. All right, I don't think anyone disputes that here.
I'm not.
If they don't, do we think they're still going to win the AFC East?
Yes.
Or do we think Miami's a sleeper?
Miami's a sleeper, but their offensive line's in shambles.
Yeah. You know what? New England's winning the AFC East.
Shut up.
Not biased.
That's in poor taste. Go to the next segment. I'm done with this. I'm done with this guy.
Wrap it up.
All right, we'll move on. So we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we have top 3, bottom 3 for week 5.
Here's Edelman broken up, and the pass is no sign yet. Edelman comes down with a football. They're saying it's a catch. James, sideline, touchdown, unbelievable!
Welcome back to the Fumblerooski Podcast. Chris Costich, Adam Wright, Robert Shelley. We move on to the top three, bottom three for week 5. A lot of good. I thought there was a lot of more good contenders for top 3, and it was a lot harder for me to choose bottom 3 for this week, but I digress. Starting out with the top 3, Jaguars. I thought a very impressive win over the Bills, like we were just talking about. 25-20 victory, and all facets of the game for them was working out. The New York Jets, granted, it's still not a great game to watch, Jets and the Broncos, but oddly entertaining and a great karma win for Nathaniel Hackett. The Bears, geez, where did this come from? First of all, 40-20. DJ Moore, 8 catches, 230 yards, 3 touchdowns. Justin Fields basically got his career saved by DJ Moore, but regardless, he still had a fantastic game. 282 yards and 4 touchdowns. Unbelievable performance from both players, but honorable mention, the Bengals and the 49ers. The Bengals, obviously, great win to kind of get themselves back on the right track. Jamar Chase, another 10-plus, 150-yard-plus game for him. He's now with Jerry Rice for multiple, not just one game. He's done this multiple times now, and he's tied with Jerry Rice for multiple games with 10-plus receptions and 150-plus receiving yards in one game. I think the number was 3 for both guys. But I'll leave it to you, fellas. What do you guys think?
I think so. Right off the bat, so Bengals deserve to be where they are.
Sorry, and the 49ers, obviously, Cowboys, that whole win. 49ers riding the Cowboys. I just wanted to throw that out there. Make sure, just in case no one was aware already.
Of course. Bengals deserve to be where they are. That's a good spot for them. Honorable mention. They blew doors, but important thing is Burrow looks healthy. No, biggest thing I would say, 49ers deserve to be in there. They blew the doors off of a competitive playoff team. Jets, they won the game. They rallied around Nathaniel Hackett. They didn't look great doing it. Also, the Broncos suck. So I would say swap out the 49ers and the Jets for me.
Robert, your thoughts?
If I may, come closer now. DJ Moore saved my fantasy team, and I mean that wholeheartedly. Okay, DJ Moore saved my sorry ass in fantasy. CJ, I'm sorry I had to do it to you. All right, I even had who's the Colts running back? Zach Moss, is that his name?
Zach Moss, yeah.
Yeah, I had Zach Moss on the bench, and he had 35 fantasy points for me. But in terms of this, yeah, Jags deserve to be up there. Anytime you beat a contender, great. Jets didn't win. They just didn't lose. Okay, so them being in the top 3, I don't agree with. Bears, yeah, they looked awesome for once. It's never going to happen again, but they looked awesome. And yeah, honorable mentions, no problems with. Now let's see the Patriots in the bottom 3.
All right,
let's see it. Throw it.
Yeah, there it is. Cowboys, Pats, Commanders. Commanders, obviously, really bad game. Though I do commend them for at least making it somewhat of a game in the second half. Pats, 72-3 in their last 2 games. Cowboys looking like the Cowboys. Honorable mention, the Ravens and the Bills. The Ravens, I get that that's like an AFC North rivalry game. It's the Steelers and the Ravens. Anything's going to happen, but geez, the receivers just suck over there. Golly. Bills, I mean, that's going to be a competitive game regardless, and I'll give them the fact that you're traveling to London against a team that's been over there for a week and a half, 2 weeks. So I'll give them that, but I'm also hitting them with the honorable mention just for the injuries that they're sustaining, and I don't know, the outlook isn't great, I'll say.
You nailed this list. Everyone is exactly where they should be. The
Thank you.
Patriots hit a new low as if they could have even reached a new one from last week. The Cowboys, where they have us questioning if the Cowboys will even be the Cowboys if they have hit a new low. The Commanders suck. The Ravens, the Bills, as honorable mentions. I like this. This is about as good as I would put it. Yeah.
Okay, I just have 2 comments. Your bottom 3 are perfect. I would just change out the honorable mentions. Ravens deserve to be in there. Honestly, at this point, they should just play their games in a hospital infirmary. It'd be quicker to get the players there afterward during the game, I don't think the Bills should be in there, like I said before, just because traveling to London, it's going to take a toll. I think the Giants should be there instead. The Giants.
That's a good one.
That was a team that was deep in my mind. Actually, I was in between the Bills and the Giants.
So for the
Giants,
bottom 3, I give a solid B plus A minus 2.
Thank you. The Giants was definitely in the back of my mind because they forced 3 turnovers, one of them being a pick 6, and they still lost 31-16.
Because Daniel Jones sucks.
You expect the Giants to be bad. The Bills, they were bad. And yeah, it was against a competitive team, but they were bad. They're supposed to be better than they are. Don't let that final score fool you.
Yeah, and that was kind of
a
my
London
main
game,
point.
though. You got to remember.
All right.
Okay. Trying to tell you. Keep trying.
So we'll move on. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll have the Fumblerooski fan box from you guys' submissions.
Here's Edelman broken up, and the pass is no sign yet. Edelman comes down with a football. They're saying it's a catch. This is caught. Diggs! Sideline! Touchdown! Unbelievable! Swings it way down the field to Watkins. Sammy Watkins for the touchdown.
Welcome back to the Fumblerooski Podcast. Chris Costich, Adam Wright, and our special guest, Robert Shelley. So we'll move on to our final segment of the episode, the most underrated performance from Week 5. So the Fumblerooski fan box, we post a question filter on our Instagram every Monday, and you can respond with hot takes, questions, and more. And we will discuss it and give you a shout out on our podcast. Respond to next week's fan box question to be featured on our show. So Jack Hartman says Jared Goff.
I mean, they blew doors, so it makes sense. And so John also, it was Jack, but there was another kid on our last fan box who picked Goff for MVP. Wouldn't go that far, but he's been pretty solid. I've liked Jared Goff. I always thought that he could be a quarterback on a Super Bowl winning team. He limits his mistakes and he does all of the right things when he has talent, which is what he has this year. So I like him.
I'd agree. Not MVP, but definitely at this point, especially with how the Vikings have been absolutely terrible and Justin Jefferson being on IR, that I think the Lions are going to win the NFC North on the back of Jared Goff doing very well.
Yep.
Yeah, Jared Goff, 20 for 28, 236 yards, 3 touchdowns in that one. Another underrated performance that personally I would say is Adam Thielen in that game. If we were just going to throw stuff out there, 11 catches, 107 yards, 1 touchdown. And he's a guy, we don't really do a lot of fantasy stuff around here that much at the moment, but if I was to throw in some fantasy advice, don't be afraid of throwing Adam Thielen in that flex spot or that wide receiver too. He's been getting 13 targets a game the last few games. So that would be mine.
On my team, by the way.
Exactly. John Warren, Breece Hall off of his ACL injury.
He's needed some time to get ready, and we have seen flashes of his former self, which is encouraging for 2024, not 23. And yes, this was great. It shows what he is potentially. I'd pump the brakes real quick on Breece Hall. I like him, but give him some time.
22 carries, 177 yards, 1 touchdown. Robert, your thoughts?
I mean, I completely agree with everything Adam said, but this is just coming from the same guy who drafted Bijan Robinson 8 overall and was going to call him the next savior of his fantasy team. So I wouldn't really take this guy's advice. No, the hell it is not. Okay. No,
he's
it is
one of the
not.
best running backs in fantasy this year.
It's still not deserving of the 8th overall pick. Okay.
Yes.
You're still nuts to that. 2nd rounder, maybe 8th overall pick. You can shove it.
All right.
Moving on. Michael Price.
Same breath as Rusney Castillo.
All right, man. Michael Price took the running back on the other side of this game, Jaleel McLaughlin. Sure. 9 carries, 68 yards. Rushing average wise, it looks good, but I don't know. It's not the most standout game in the world. Could think of other.
The opportunity's there for him.
Yeah.
You know, he's a rookie. He's their lead back right now. Javonte Williams is hurt. Who even is their other guy? It's Samaje Perine.
Samaje Perine. I'm not a huge fan of him.
Nice as a backup to Joe Mixon in the Bengals days, but you know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he's been doing okay. Nothing crazy, you know. He's not a guy that I'd say was an underrated performance. Yeah. 7 yards a carry is good, but I guess.
Yeah, that's not one that I completely agree with, but I'll leave it be. Kyle Fenimore says Desmond Ridder, and I like this one. I like this one a lot. Desmond Ridder had a much better game than last week, to say the least. 28 for 37, 329 yards, and 1 touchdown. And here's a stat for you guys. Desmond Ridder has not lost a home game since his junior year of high school.
Good for him, I guess.
Damn. That's one of the most random ass stats by the most random ass people I've heard.
It is, but like it makes sense considering that the Falcons are 3-0 at home right now.
Touche.
That's true. I mean, I like Desmond Ridder is a very prime example of a guy who, let's say, if you give him a solid line and you give him some pieces to throw to, then he'll be fine. I don't think Desmond Ridder's the guy, but he's showing to be functional as a quarterback, which is all the Falcons really need to be competitive in one of the worst divisions in football.
The worst. I mean, I would honestly
trying to be nice, but
correct. Add another name in if you think another name belongs in here. But 3 names that I think of off the top of my head between Desmond Ridder, Gardner Minshew, and Mike White. 3 guys that can all fill a kind of Nick Foles-esque role. As to be a guy to come in for stopgaps at a time, not the guy. You cannot build a team around him, Jacksonville. Okay, or Chicago.
I still can't believe they gave him an $80 million contract.
And I still can't believe Chicago traded for that.
Yeah. And then drafted Justin Fields later.
And then drafted Justin Fields and then told him to, you know, I'm not going to say it. No, keep it PG.
Good. But yeah, it's all the fan box responses that we have featured for here. Just want to say thank you again, Jack Hartman, John Warren, Michael Price, and Kyle Fenimore for sending us your responses. Of course, don't be afraid to throw in your hot take questions and whatnot. We post the question filter on our Instagram every Monday and respond with anything that you like, as long as it makes sense. None of this, no like stupid posts or stupid questions and whatnot.
Hey, we underrate how terrible Mac Jones was, okay?
Yeah. But that'll do it for us tonight. Thank you for listening to the Fumblerooski Podcast. We have new episodes out on Tuesdays at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We also have all our episodes available on Spotify, Spreaker, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, Google Podcast, and so much more. And be sure to follow our Instagram at Fumblerooski_podcast to keep up with our podcast and the latest coverage on the NFL. Otherwise, we will see you next week. Over and out.